Okay, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call our meeting to order. Could we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Megan, will you call the roll?
Yes. Trustee Messick?
Here.
Trustee Sheehan?
Here.
Trustee Kucera?
Here.
Trustee Lautner?
Here.
Trustee Zora?
Here.
And Trustee Seidel is absent. President DeCipio?
Here.
A quorum is present, Mr. President.
Okay, first on the agenda is presentation. Boy, these things are sensitive.
I know.
I'm way over here. Presentation National Night Out Award by Sergeant Matt Fellers. Sergeant?
Thank you. First, I'd like to thank the Board of Trustees, President DeCipio, for taking time out of your busy agenda tonight so that we can talk about a program that has become very near and dear to the police department and the village as a whole. That program is National Night Out. It has been a program that the police department here in LaGrange Park has been a part of for many years. Myself has been spearheading the event for the last 3, and I'm very excited to talk about 2019's award that we were given by the National Association of Town Watch, which is the overseeing body that looks at all programs from coast to coast and assesses those programs and sees how viable they are and how successful they are. And I'm happy to say and to announce that we moved up 3 spots again from last year. From the year previous. In 2019, we became number 7 in the nation, LaGrange Park in our category, which is a Category 5 town, 5,000 to 15,000 residents. So that puts us in amongst Illinois towns, amongst Lincolnshire, Oak Brook, towns of that caliber. So I'm very excited to say that the program is continuing to grow. We're very fortunate that we have the backing of the board, of the village president, of the directors. It's been a wonderful experience, not only for myself, but for all of the police department that has been involved with it. I know this year, in 2020, we have grand plans. A part of keeping this program new and vital and enjoyable for the community is continuing to expand it and grow new portions of it. I'm so excited about it. I want to say everything that we plan on doing, but I don't want to give too much away, so I want to keep a little bit of the mystery. But the one thing I will say is we are expanding the program to be more or less encompassing 2 days. The first of which is going to be the Sunday prior to. So that's 2 days before the customary Tuesday night. So it'll be August 2nd from noon to 8 p.m. at Memorial Park. It will be encompassing the entirety of the park. We will have a stage where there will be multiple performances throughout the day. We have a configuration where there will be food vendors and the sponsor vendors that will be there. A lot of cool new additions this year in terms of some high-profile people that will be at the event. I know that the police department has been very proud of our participation in Special Olympics, and with Chief Tim Contois's help and support, we have bolstered that. We plan on putting a lot more focus and emphasis on that portion of the night because it's a meaningful thing that the police department can do to support that event. And Illinois Special Olympics is something that's very near and dear to us. We want to continue to be as charitable as we can towards them, so we've got a lot of aspects that are going to go towards that. And like I said, we're going to also have the Tuesday night event, which will tie into the Sunday, and that will then be held at the customary band shell portion of it. So without any further ado or giving anything else away, if I keep talking, I'd like to present this award to President DeCipio, as you are the father of this village and the biggest supporter of this and the biggest supporter of this program. So thank you very much. Yes, of course.
Thank you, Sergeant, and I think on behalf of the board, we would like to tell you that we're awful proud of what you've accomplished with your committee and the staff of the police department and chief. You've brought this all to a whole new level, and we've been on the map for numerous reasons. Now we have another reason that we've distanced ourselves from other communities because of your efforts, so thank you. Any comments from the board? Anybody want to say any comments? You guys were there.
Very cool. Very cool event. Very well received by the community, and to have that acknowledged, I think, is further indication of the quality of the individuals and the program that we have here.
I'll just say it real quick. It's extraordinary, and it's gotten better every year. Sergeant Hernandez did a great job starting it out. I remember when it started out, walking my kids in little wagons and we'd go walk around. But it's become something to be envied in the area right now, and your efforts are and all of the department. I understand every officer was there, so it's pretty impressive. Thank you.
In addition, thank you and your team, everybody in this room, for all the effort they put into it. I think one of the successes, in addition to what we're doing and how it's growing, is the support of our business community, particularly our restaurants. I think we fed 1,000 people there, right? That's amazing. And everything from kids with hot dogs to everybody else, it's a tremendous event. Thank you.
I just want to say, oh, sorry, these mics are super sensitive. That I'm very excited that we're doing 2 days this year. And we had a lot of people from other communities last year. It wasn't just Grange Park. So we're pulling other people into our town. So thank you for everything you've done. It's very exciting.
Excellent job. I think total team effort, and this year I'm sure you will raise the bar.
I didn't mean it.
Okay, so from the start, Sergeant, you have our undying 120% support in your endeavor. Anything we can do to help, we're here for you. Thank you. Thank you, Chief, and everyone else involved. Okay, next we have a presentation by Kevin McGuire. Kevin is representative of the Proviso Township Complete Count Commission on the U.S. Census. Kevin?
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, honorable board members, department heads, and residents. My name is Kevin McGreer. I'm the village clerk for the village of Broadview. Formerly served as the village trustee for 2 terms since 2009. And that was ironic because that's right around the time that I met President DeCipio and Julia when I actually served as the partnership specialist for the U.S. Census Bureau. I covered the territory along the 294 corridor from Orland Park to Stone Park, and in each town I reached out to the highest elected officials to get our complete count committees organized. And I will say, from memory, there was only one other town that came close to LaGrange Park in organizing and census activities. I won't mention that town, but all we're focusing on today is LaGrange Park. You guys did an excellent job. I think I sent out a video from 10 years ago when we had the, at the community center, we had the theme, Everyone Counts, and we had photos from everyone from the mayor to Julia to Santa Claus and the llamas at the petting zoo. But we're going to talk briefly today about the census. I won't take much of your valuable time. The 2020 census is here. April 1st, 2020 is Census Day. That's the day that we take a snapshot of the nation. And that day is so important, and the complete count is so important because it represents not only representation in our government, and of which Illinois has lost 1 seat every 10 years since the year 1950. Right now, if we don't get a complete count, we are in jeopardy of losing 2 seats. People are moving out of Illinois and the population is declining. If we get a complete count, we would have salvaged at least that 1 seat and lost only 1. But in addition to the representation, there's over $675 billion in federal resources that are distributed based on our census count. Now, I am happy to say out of Proviso Township, which encompasses 14 different towns, including mine of Broadview, LaGrange Park is only second to Western Springs with regards to response rate. In 2010, LaGrange Park was at 85%, which is a good thing. I usually don't have this positive conversation. But if you look at what you did in 2010 versus 2000, you can see the pattern is declining a bit. So instead of going any lower than 85%, we got to make sure that we are educating, making our citizens aware of the importance of being counted, and everyone counts. I don't care if you're a citizen, non-citizen, undocumented, everyone counts. Everyone that takes advantage of the resources that we have here in town should count, because that's dollars that comes back to your town. I gave you a little handout. If you don't have enough, we'll make sure that everyone has copies, but every person counted represents approximately $15,350 in resources. So for every person that is not counted, that's 15,000 and some change that we don't get. And just reading the statistics, in 2010, the population of 13,579, which stands on Wikipedia and all of our demographics for LaGrange Park, there was a potential of 15,975 based on the ACS, which is the American Community Survey. That's a random survey given by the census every year, and it is not the same as the decennial, but that's where they get this data from. And that's where they estimated that we lost, or we failed to count approximately 2,400 people. And if you look at the math, that's almost $40 million that LaGrange Park left on the table. Broadview is in a little bit worse position. We had a count of 74%, and what they do is they recognize towns or areas that to be hard to count if they're at 73% or lower. So we're right on the brink of being hard to count. And if we look at the demographics and the changes and the pattern, you know, we were a little bit higher before that, 2010, 74%. We may be hard to count if we don't up our game. So I don't want you guys to decline. I don't want LaGrange Park to ruin its great record as of right now. I want you to go up and make sure that everyone is counted, so we get all of those dollars, all of those resources, and those funds go for over 130 programs, such as Medicaid, healthcare, infrastructure repair, you know, the stuff that is needed in the village as far as our budgets. And, you know, they're already trying to take money and keep money from us in other ways, and some towns suffer more than others, but we need every single piece of dollars that we can get. So that being said, couple of things just to mention. On March 12th or thereabout, everyone will receive an invitation letter in the mail. And that invitation letter, I wish I had the documentation. I can certainly send it to the clerk and Julia to distribute amongst the town. But that invitation letter is going to have a unique identification number and a URL in which people can now go for the first time online or by cell phone and respond. This is the first census that we can respond electronically like that. There'll also be the mailed out questionnaire, but on March 26th, that portal opens for people to go to a response center or in their car on their way to work if they want to pull over and respond online. It takes less than 10 minutes. I said pull over. But it takes less than 10 minutes to answer the 9 questions, and they don't ask a lot of, you know, real personal questions. They ask stuff like what's your age, how many in the household, et cetera. I actually also have sample questionnaires both in English and Spanish if needed. But they won't ask stuff like your social security number. They will not talk about political parties or campaigns. They will not ask for your bank account or credit card information, and they will not ask for donations. So have your residents be aware that there is fraud out there, and to be aware that, you know, anytime you do hear of stuff that is not probably on the level and they ask these kind of questions, report it to the chief immediately. Under Title 13, the census cannot share your information with any law enforcement or other governmental agencies such as ICE, DHS, CIA, or the FBI. This information is protected for 72 years, and everybody that works for the census takes an oath. There's up to a $250,000 fine or up to 5 years imprisonment, or both, if anyone shares that personal information. Couple other things. We are having events in the Proviso Township. Sitting on the Proviso Census Commission, I've been involved with every town. Myself and trustee Nathaniel Booker from Maywood, who actually heads up the Proviso efforts, have been going on a tour. We've been to Broadview, Maywood, Bellwood, Merrill's Park, Stone Park, Westchester, and now LaGrange Park. And this is one of the easiest jobs because you guys get it. Your percentages show that you get it. And I just want to make sure that we continue on with the good response rate and probably even increase that with the awareness and education. If I can be of assistance in any way, Julia, Mayor already know, call on me, I'm here. I'm a 39-year resident of Broadview. I'm not going anywhere. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Kevin, thank you
Yes, sir.
for your efforts and all you're doing to bring these funds to our village by.
It's my pleasure, Mayor.
Complete count. And I know our staff this is a very important thing to our staff, and Julia's already made mention that this is something that we all need to jump on and make sure all our residents are counted. Thank you, and I'll extend it from the board. Anything we can do to help, please just give us direction, and we will support anything you do.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's my pleasure, and if you don't mind, I'd like to hang out to hear the rest of your board meeting.
Thank you, Kevin.
All right. Good evening.
Okay, any public participation? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Megan?
Thank you, Mr. President. The items on this evening's consent agenda are as follows. A, approval of minutes. 1, village board meeting, January 28th, 2020. 2, executive session meeting, January 28th, 2020. 3, village board work session, February 11th, 2020. And 4, executive session meeting, February 11th, 2020. B, action, purchase of CPR compression devices for village ambulances. Motion to approve the purchase of 2 Lucas chest compression devices from the Stryker Medical Corporation as quoted for $28,725. C, action, Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, grant application resolution roadway improvements. Motion to approve a resolution approving the 2020 Community Development Block Grant application. D, action, investment in Cook grant application, 26th Street from Kemen to Maple, resolution designating local contribution amount. Motion to approve a resolution designating local contribution amount as part of the invest in Cook grant application submission. E, action, motion to authorize the president and chairperson of the Finance Committee to sign the register for bills and authorize the treasurer and village clerk to sign checks in payment of operating bills and salaries as itemized in the check registers. F, action, motion to authorize the village treasurer and village clerk to sign checks in the payment of payroll and other bills that become due between this date and March 24th, 2020, with subsequent approval of the payroll register and voucher register by the Board of Trustees at its regular meeting to be held on March 24th, 2020.
Motion to approve the consent agenda is presented.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Megan, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Kucera?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zorro?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan. Moving on, village manager's report. Julia?
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I have just one item to report on this evening, and that is with regard to important dates to announce for our budget planning process. The first date is that the draft budget and the 5-year plan will be distributed to the board on March 3rd. The Finance Committee will hold its first review meeting on March 10th at 6 p.m., and additional meetings will be scheduled as necessary. We will post the draft budget and 5-year plan to the village's website on March 16th. We will provide paper copies at Village Hall and at the library on the same day. We will publish notice of public hearing on the budget on or about April 1st in compliance with the state requirements. We will hold our public hearing on the budget on Tuesday, April 14th at 7:15 p.m. And we will have a final draft of the budget before the village board for approval at the Tuesday, April 28th board meeting. And unless if there are any questions, that concludes my report.
Any questions for Julia from the board? Thank you, Julia. Administration Committee, in lieu of Trustee Seidel, Trustee Sheehan?
Thank you, Mr. President. As Representative McGreer just talked about, the 2020 federal census is coming this spring. Next month, households will begin receiving official Census Bureau mail with detailed information on how to respond to the 2020 census online, by phone, or by mail. For more information on the census process, please visit the village website at www.grangepark.org. Arbor Day nominations. National Arbor Day is Friday, April 24th. The village is accepting nominations to plant a tree in honor or in memory of a person or group that has made a positive contribution to the community or whose achievements deserve special recognition. To submit your nomination, please visit the village website at www.lagrangepark.org. to download a nomination form or contact Sandy Backlich for more information. Nominations will be accepted through April 10th. The tree will be planted in a public space, in a park, parkway, etc., during a public ceremony in late April or early May, and a small plaque mentioning the honoree will be installed at the base of the tree. The village would like to encourage residents to stay connected with what is happening in LaGrange Park by signing up for community e-briefs, our weekly electronic newsletter that is emailed out each Friday. The village currently has over 2,000 subscribers. Residents may sign up for e-briefs by going to the home page of the village's website at www.lagrangepark.org. That concludes administration, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Sheehan. Building and Zoning Committee, Trustee Zora.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to report the building department activities for January 2020. 26 building permits were issued in January compared to 17 issued in January 2019. Estimated construction costs for the month were over $450,000, which is 4 times what they were in January 2019. Permit fees collected were $10,767.19, slightly more than double what they were last January. 84 inspections were conducted this past January compared to 74 in 2019. 5 inspections were not approved. Occupancy inspections were conducted for a new tenant, Midwest Motorcycle Setup, which is now leasing and occupying a portion of the YPV distribution warehouse located at 825 East 26th Street. Foundation inspections were conducted and new foundations poured for 2 new homes, one located on the 600 block of Edgewood and another on the 500 block of Spring. The owner of the old Pancake House property on the Grange Road submitted a permit to repair the parking lot and pave the gravel area. Staff has also met with the owner and discussed a potential new tenant for the site who's considering operating a seasonal garden center on the property. Staff issued 4 tickets this month for property maintenance violations. In each case, the property owner did not meet mutually agreed upon deadlines to achieve compliance. A vacant house located on the 300 block of Catherine was sold. There were various property maintenance code violations on the property, and the purchaser is planning on demolishing the home and building a new home on the site. That is all I have to report. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Zora. Engineering Capital Projects, Trustee Casera.
And thank you, Mr. President. This evening I have 3 items to report on. Design work for the 31st Street Water Main project continues. Preliminary plans were submitted to utility companies to confirm the location of their facilities and to identify any conflicts that may require additional adjustment or relocation of their lines. Plans were also submitted to IDOT and the IEPA for a construction permit. Administrative work needed to obtain easements for the water main installation west of Meadowcrest is continuing. This will be a separate project scheduled to be constructed in 2021. Second item, design work has continued for the 2020 sewer lining project. As a part of the ongoing sewer maintenance program, sewers that were cleaned and televised in prior years have had their videotapes reviewed. Deteriorated sections were categorized as candidates for either point repairs or lining. The sewers that qualified for lining were identified, and this information will be incorporated into the 2020 sewer lining project. The project is scheduled for construction this spring. The final item, administrative work to compile the village's 2020 CDBG grant application has begun. The village is seeking $400,000 in funds from Cook County to resurface Meadowcrest Road from 29th Street to 31st Street, Woodside Avenue from 29th Street to Meadowcrest Road, and 28th Street from Forest Road to Homestead Road. If successful, funding would be made available for the 2021 construction season. That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Casera. Public Safety, Trustee Lautner.
Thank you, Mr. President. This evening, on my microphone first. From the public safety area, I have a report from the police department and the fire department, and then 1 item for discussion and action from the fire department area. First, from the police department area, the total number of crimes for the first month of 2020 are exactly the same to last year, January 2019, with 28 incidents reported this year. Traffic enforcement is at 476 total tickets issued through January of 2020. Overall, police activity is slightly lower to last year with 789 total incidents reported through January of 2020 as compared to 1,027 total incidents through January of 2019. Mark your calendars and do not miss out on the upcoming police department special events that are currently planned. First of all, the next offering of the Citizens Police Academy. Saturdays, April 18th through May 30th, from 9 a.m. until 12 p.m. in the Village Boardroom. Please contact Officer Chris Dempsey at 708-352-7711, extension 275 for further information, or email Chris at cdempsey@lagrangepark.org. You may pick up applications at the police department window during normal business hours. The second event to note is Coffee with the Chief and Staff on Saturday, March 14th from 8 a.m. until 9:30 a.m. at the LaGrange Park Panera Bread, 439 North LaGrange Road. Also announcing this evening is Officer Ray Drexler has submitted his letter of retirement from the police department. Officer Drexler's last day of employment with the police department will be March 6th, 2020. Everyone at the police department and the village would like to thank Officer Drexler for his 20 years of dedicated service to the village, and a formal celebration will be upcoming in March. And another, again, friendly reminder about securing your personal property at all times. Please lock your vehicles and residence, especially during overnight hours. If you are going on vacation, please come to the police department between the hours of 8:30 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday through Friday and fill out a vacation watch card. When you return home, please come into the police department to sign the vacation watch card and let us know that you are home, and you will see the times that they were able to check on your home for you. From the fire department area. EMS incidents this month were at 157. This compares to 151 in January of 2019. Fire and rescue incidents this month were 40. This compares to 61 in January of 2019. Personnel completed CPR and AED recertification training. 9 applicants were hired as paid-on-call firefighter candidates during the month and began attending the Basic Operations Firefighter Academy. The academy continues through May. The fire chief participated in an evacuation exercise at Plymouth Place, which was coordinated by CHUG, the Collaborative Healthcare Urgency Group. 2 of our female firefighters attended a Daisy Troop meeting at the library to talk to the group about their jobs. Staff participated in a webinar held by IDPH, the Illinois Department of Public Health, on the novel coronavirus. Daily updates are provided to our department, and EMS staff are operating under modified guidelines provided by our resource hospital to help prevent the spread of the virus. And 3 items of note that occurred during the month is a response to Plymouth Place for a gas leak inside the building that traveled throughout the ventilation system for the skilled nursing floor. Our firefighters quickly located the source and an HVAC unit on the roof and were able to stop the leak and ventilated the building without any incidents. On the 16th of January, we made a response to a hazardous materials technician and a chief for the Mavis hazardous materials box alarm, where a semi-trailer was burning with unknown materials in it. It took place at a closed industrial facility where many hazardous materials are located. And toward the end of the month, on the 20th of January, they responded to an engine company with an engine company investigator and chief to assist LaGrange with a basement fire at 125 Hayes. And one item for discussion and action is regarding the Fire Academy tuition. The fire department conducted a recruitment process last fall, and we hired 9 new paid-on-call firefighter candidates. During that process, various options were considered as to where the candidates would be attending a fire academy. A decision was made that they would attend a program run by the Romeoville Fire Academy, but with classroom sessions taught locally at Riverside Fire Department on weeknights and practical training sessions taking place at the Fire Academy training site in Romeoville on most Saturdays. The academy started in mid-January and will run through May. The tuition for each one of these candidates is $3,000, and with 9 candidates, a total cost of $27,000. This item is being brought to the village board this evening as a formality for processing the payment, as the cost exceeds the village manager's spending authority. Staff certainly recommends payment of this invoice, of course, for the 9 personnel. And as such, I would like to submit a motion to approve the payment of $27,000 to the Romeoville Fire Academy for 9 personnel to attend the Basic Operations Fire Academy.
Second.
We have motion and second discussion. Trustee Lautner?
Thank you, Mr. President. Certainly a foregone conclusion that we need to approve this, fully support it. One question I would have of Chief, does this bring us up to the level that we need, or are we still short candidates?
It still does not bring us to our total allotment. I think this brings us to 45 or 46, and we have a budget allotment or position allotment of 50.
Okay, so we're still short. Are we still looking, or will we wait until a time when we'll bring in more candidates?
We have proposed in the upcoming budget another 6. That's what we budgeted for, and our goal would be to probably hire them in the fall as long as we felt comfortable with the numbers that we're trying to get trained, because there's a lot of work to do even once they come out of the academy. We believe we'll do a recruitment again. We're just not positive, but we are budgeting for it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments from the board? Megan, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Kucera?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes,
Trustee Zorro?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan.
and that concludes my reports and action items from the public safety this evening.
Thank you, Trustee Lautner. Moving on, Public Works Committee, Trustee Sheehan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Winter operations increased in January. Staff salted 661.5 miles of roadway, using a total of 71.4 tons of salt, averaging 215 pounds per lane mile. A total of 57 daytime hours and 137.5 overtime hours were spent on winter operations for the month. DPW was able to use their new anti-icing system for the first time. Conditions met their operating guidelines, and the application was applied to primary routes throughout town. You can definitely notice the difference. Staff installed red LED flashing lights on village stop signs on Kemen. Staff also replaced and added new speed limit signs on the roadway. Staff had training by IRMA about the dangers and cautions to take when they are around silica. Staff also had an updated training for CPR and the use of AED units put on by the Grange Park Fire Department. Public Works repaired 2 10-inch water mains and repaired 2 water service lines in January. Crews were out filling potholes throughout town and finished multiple asphalt patches from water and sewer excavations. 68 daytime hours were spent on these patches, using a combined 19 tons of cold patch. 240 day shift hours were spent on building and ground maintenance around the Public Works facility, Village Hall, and along 31st Street. 185 day shift hours were spent on the maintenance of Public Works equipment and vehicles. Work orders were performed with crews removing roadkill, making sign repairs, and attending to resident concerns. Water Department operations, over 313 day shift hours and 31 overtime hours during the month of January were spent on maintenance and repair of sewer and water mains. 29,310,000 gallons of water were purchased from the Brookfield North Riverside Water Commission. 1,260 water meters were read in Section 1. 55 monthly accounts and 11 final meter readings were taken. Various inspections and appointments and service calls were performed. 2 water sewer inspections, 6 meter appointments, and 19 service calls were performed. 15 water bacterials were sample taken along with quarterly stage 2 samples. 97 utility locations were identified prior to excavation. 1 hydrant modification kit was completed. 2 water main were repaired along with 2 water service lines. That concludes Public Works, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Sheehan. Finance Committee, Trustee Messick.
Thank you, Mr. President. Finance update as of the first month of the year. Fiscal year to date, general fund revenue is at 66% of the annual budget and about $17,600 lower than the prior year. Property tax receipts are up slightly compared to the prior year. Other local taxes are lower by about $81,000 or 6.8% due primarily to the timing of cable franchise fee payments compared to last year, as well as lower utility taxes. License revenue is about $7,000 or 2.3% less than last year. Permit revenue is down 38.3% or about $112,000 compared to the prior year. Most of the decrease is a result of lower alteration and addition permit fees compared to last year. Intergovernmental revenue is up over $220,000 or 17.1% compared to last year due to increased state shared revenue receipts. Charges for services are down about $35,500 or 9.1% due primarily to lower ambulance fee receipts compared to last year. Fine revenue is approximately $7,500 lower than the prior year due to a decrease in court fees. And total general fund expenditures are within expectations at 70% of the annual budget and about $407,000 or 6.7% greater than last year. The increase is primarily a result of the $500,000 transfer to the capital projects funds and timing of payroll. This January included 3 payroll periods versus 2 in the prior year. And that concludes the finance report, and there are no action items.
Thank you, Trustee Messick. Moving on to other reports, Village Clerk,
No report, Mr. President.
our Village Treasurer. No report, Mr. President. Commercial Revitalization, Trustee Casera.
And thank you, Mr. President. Staff is currently finalizing the design for the North Beach Avenue parking spaces to be located on the west side of Beach Avenue, north of 31st. The new 7 public parking spaces will be constructed this spring utilizing funds from the 31st Street Barnesdale Tax Increment Financing District. The parking area will include colored and textured pavement, new landscaping and screening of the existing utility boxes in the right-of-way. That concludes my report, Mr. President, but if I can, I'd like to add 2 additional pieces.
Certainly.
I'd like to take this opportunity to congratulate 2 of our businesses in town that earned very prestigious awards. That is Matone Restaurant, as well as Posto 31, who earned the Diner's Choice Awards from Open Table. This is voted on by people that have visited the establishments. Congratulations to Vito and your team at Matone, and naturally Chef Jason and his team. And most importantly, what they give back to the community. And residents, thank you for spending dollars at our businesses that invest in this community. And remember to bring your friends and relatives from nearby towns. They will enjoy it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Trustee Casera. Village Engineer. No report, Mr. President. And our Village Attorney.
I have no report, Mr. President.
Motion to approve committee and collectors' reports as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I just have a couple of items. Last night, Julie and I attended the Village of LaGrange's board meeting so that we could present outgoing President Livingston with a plaque from the village in appreciation of his working relationship with us and Andre and the board. We met with Mark Kukler, who's the new president that was installed last night to fulfill his term. And we spoke with Andre, and we're already in the works of getting a meeting up with the both of them to continue the great relationship we've established with LaGrange. And, you know, they have a great board like we do, but I can say our residents are awful blessed to have the individuals that we have up here at the dais. Very proud of all of you guys. Saturday, I'll be attending the Proviso Mayor's Breakfast for Danny Davis. If anyone cares to come with me and attend, just let me know and I'll come by and pick you up. Public participation? Kevin, nothing? More? We're counted, Kevin. Okay, perfect. Any new business? I have one item of new business I'd like to bring forward. Maybe I should have brought it in my report. Most villages have the village manager sitting up at the dais. And I've talked to Julie about this over the months, and I'm going to speak with her some more. And maybe in the future I'd like to bring the village manager up to the dais where she'd be up here with us and establish that relationship that other villages have. So I just want to inform the board that that's probably going to be in the works in the next couple meetings. Any other new business? Motion to move into executive session?
I make a motion to move into executive session for the purpose of discussing the selection of a person to fill a public office as defined in this act, including a vacancy in a public office, when the public body is given power to appoint under a law or ordinance, or the discipline, performance, or removal of the occupant of a public office, when the public body is given power to remove the occupant under law or ordinance in accordance with 5 ILCS 120/2 C3, not to come back into open session until our village board work session, March 10th.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Megan, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Kucera?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan. We will move into executive session.